Hello, everyone. This is Nana for Tangled Time Arts, and I'm back to take a look at tile 6 of the Fragment of Your Imagination challenge, which was a January challenge, but we're going to finish it up in February because sometimes life gets in the way and things don't quite go as planned. So tile 6, you will need a black pen. I'm using a Micron 01. You'll need a number 2 pencil, a tortillon. You can use the Mosaic printout from the handout. You can just print it on computer paper and cut it out. And this is approximately the size of an Apprentice tile, which is like 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. Or you can use the original tiles that we prepared in a different video. And the original tiles are 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And if you have your handout, that's handy too. We're going to be taking a look at day 21, which is Yerba, a fragment of Yerba in a square. And then we have, in the circle, we have Firhelix. And the triangle fragment has Galaxy with the drama orbs and aura technique. And then we have January flow in the seed fragment. All right, let's get started. So you will need your black pen. And we're going to start on the left-hand side. And for these square shapes, we are just going to simply divide them roughly in half. So I'm just going to run a line to cut these in half here. And then we're going to make these, and if it's easier for you to turn your tile, please do so, kind of like a bell curve shape in each half with the top part of the hill or the curve towards the center. I'll do that for here too. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut this in half. And do the same thing, working towards the centers. And then to start Yerba, which actually, if you take a look at Yerba in the whole, it's a lovely little flower type of tangle, but we're just doing a fragment of it. So we're just going to start with kind of a very thin petal type shape. And then we're just going to aura that. And we're just staying within the space of the bell curve. And I'm going to rotate and do the same thing. Make a little, to me, it looks like a little petal or a little teardrop shape, but a very thin one. And then I'm going to work on this one. And we're just repeating these steps. These are very small spaces. Excuse me. All right, now I'm going to move up to this square. And you don't have to work in the same order that I'm working in. And now we're in our last square there. Goes pretty quickly. Like that. And I think I would like to actually go back and ink in these little spaces here. And that takes a little bit of time. And you wouldn't have to do it, but it does add a little bit of detail. It just makes it stand out a little better. And again, you don't have to work in the same order that I'm working in. Whatever feels most comfortable for you. And I'm going to rotate this so it's a little easier for me to work on. And also sometimes when you're inking in spaces, you might want to use a wider pen, like a PN maybe. But I'm just going to stick with this pen for now. And rotating again. I'm going to fill this in. All right, so we have one section finished there. And then we're going to go over to the other set of squares. And again, I'm just going to kind of divide that in half. And then I'll just do this as well. And then we're going to put in our curves, our little hills, or our bell curves. And you want those to go towards the center. All right, now we can start with our little petal shape or teardrop shape, and then put in our auras. And your auras or your little petal shapes might be wider or thinner than mine. And you might have more or fewer than I do. And that's totally fine. Add one more there. Tuck that in there. Some of these spaces are really tiny. Okay. And then because I added ink over here, I'm going to do the same for these areas. Please pardon me, I'm struggling with sort of like spring allergies. It's been really warm here in the Chicago area. And again, if you didn't want to add these darker areas, that's fine. It does take a little extra time. All right, we have our square areas done here and over here. And we're going to move on to our circle fragments. And for our circle fragments, we have Firhelix, and it's a lovely flower type of tangle. And we'll start with the example. So let's start in one of the medium-sized ones here, and we're just going to draw a line down the center and then another line perpendicular to it. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. And then you're just going to make kind of a half petal shape on the left side of each line. Like that. And then on the right hand side, you're going to come down to kind of the highest part of your previous half petal shape. So they're almost like leaves that are kind of woven together, or petals that are kind of woven together. And then we're going to aura around our little, I'm going to call it a flower. And then I'm going to switch to a little wider pen. And I'm just going to ink in this part, the outer part. If you don't have a wider pen, that's okay. Just take your time with the pen that you have. So that is what Helix looks like. I'm switching back to my 01, and we're going to do the same thing in each of these circles. These are pretty small. And then add your aura. This one's pretty tiny, so I'm just going to use the pen that the 01 that I'm using, and ink those areas in. All right, on to our next circle. And these circles get a little bit smaller as you go down the row. All right, we have 1, 2, 3 finished, and I'm going to move over to the small circles on the right hand side and do the same thing. And then finishing up these smaller circles here. Not quite sure what happened, but these are very tiny. So we have to work small. All right. Okay. Now we have our larger areas. And for these areas, what I'm going to do is, just like we did before, I'm going to cut it in half. And then cut it in half again. But then I'm also going to draw a line through there, kind of like making an X through your original cross. So then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to actually put in our petal shapes, or our half petal shapes, in these smaller areas. And then again, you're going to come down on the right hand side to the kind of top part of the previous petal shape. So again, it looks like our leaves or our petals are they kind of have that layered effect, or like they're kind of woven together. And Let me see. Then we're going to aura in here. All right, and then we're going to ink in those areas. I have to step away for just a moment and check. We have a new little puppy and I have to check on him. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Thank you for your understanding. And as I was saying, we need to ink these in, but I'll be doing that with a wider pen. So I'm just going to first finish the tangles in these other two circles. So we will divide up our circle here. And then we will put in our half petal shapes. And these are thinner than in this area because we have 8 pieces of the circle, whereas over here we only had 4 pieces, or 4, almost like slices of a pie, maybe. Here we have 8, and here we have 4. And to me, actually, with this line here, it's actually coming to almost the halfway point. That's kind of where it naturally wants to fall. And put in your auras. And we will ink that in a minute. We'll just finish this one here. And your lines don't have to be perfect. And then we'll add our auras. Like that. And now this is where I'm going to switch to my Apprentice pen, or you could use an even wider pen like a Micron 10, or just use the one that you already have. It just might take you a little longer. All right. Now we'll go to our largest circle. And now to our last circle. Yay. All right. So we have these circles filled in, and it looks really, really cool, actually. Now we're going to move to our triangle fragment called Galaxy, and I'm going to switch back to my O1. And I'm going to be working in these three triangles. I'm just going to turn it this way so it's a little easier for me to visualize. But Galaxy starts with 3 drama orbs. So I'm just going to draw in an orb and kind of fill it in, making sure to leave a very visible white spot. And we're going to put another one here in this corner. And then one in this corner. So those are our 3 drama orbs. And then we're going to connect them by drawing a line from each orb to the next one, like that. And then you're going to aura that line, but not connect the orb. So I'm just fitting it into the triangle shape like that. All right, and we'll do the same over here. Just fill in the drama orbs. One for each corner. Connect to them. And then aura those lines. And then I'm going to do this triangle over here. Once you have your drama orbs, just connect them. And then aura on the inside, like that. And we're done with our triangle fragments just like that. And our last fragment area are the seed fragments. We have four of them, one large and three small. And flow for day 24 kind of reminds me of Cruffle, but it's in the seed shape here. So we're just going to start with a curved line. And then we're just going to aura inside that space. And if you need to rotate like I do, go right ahead. And then I think for this large one, actually, I would like to add some orbs on the inside. You can add as many or as few or none as you like, but I think it's kind of cool. And then I'm going to ink in these leftover spaces here. They kind of look like little peas in a pod. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. Adding these different sized orbs or perfs, if you like to call them that, or you could even call them tipple. Like that. That looks really cool. All right. So we have three smaller seed fragments there. And we can go ahead and I'll start with the center one. And again, it's a curved line. And then we're just going to aura inside of that. And because it's such a small area, I can't fit any perfs in there, but I think I'm just going to ink it in. And this ended up very thin. That. You could even do your curve the other way. And pour it inside as best as you can. That one got too small. So just do the best you can with the smaller areas. It is really challenging. All right, I'm going to put the cap on my pen and pick up my pencil now, and we're going to do a little bit of shading. We're going to start over here with the Yerba, and I'm going to add some graphite to those center areas where all the oral lines come together. And I feel like that's all I'm going to do with the pencil for that one. Come over here to the right-hand side and do the same thing. All right, and then we have our Firhelix, and I am going to add a little shading to these areas that are kind of behind the previous petal. And I'm going to do that for each flower here. Okay, and the same over here with the 8 petals. It's the same idea. Okay, and then we're back to 4 petals. All right, and then we have the triangle fragments, the galaxy, and I'm actually just going to, with any of these, there's different ways you can shade, but I think I'm just going to add a little shading at each point here. I'm just keeping it really simple. And then I'm going to add a little shading here for the triangle areas that did not get a tangle. And then we have our seed fragment. I think I'm going to add some shading at the points and maybe a little bit just down the center. And for our smaller ones, again, at the points, just like that, because they're very tiny. All right, now we can switch to our tortillon. And with the tortillon, you want to just gently, I'm using a circular motion with these and starting at the center and kind of working my way out with the shading. And I'm not adding a lot to these areas. We could actually, with just the tortillon, just add a little bit to these areas here. The same over here. I'm just using what's on the tortillon. To add a little bit of shading to these areas. Not a lot though. Okay, our circle fragments, we're just blending out those areas that are kind of behind the other petals. And this goes pretty quickly. And now we're at our triangle fragments. And from each drama orb, you're just blending that out a little bit. That. And then the triangles that didn't get any ink, I'm just blending out the graphite just to give it some interest. And our seed fragments with the larger one, blending at each point, each end. And then we have space to go down the center like that. You could add, just with your tortillon, you could add a little bit to the larger orbs or perfs in there to make them, to give them some depth. And then with the smaller seed fragments, again, just the points, because they're so small. And that's it. That is tile 6. It has a lot of drama to it. I think my favorite part is this seed fragment right there. I love that it looks like peas in a pod. And don't forget, on the back, you want to fill in with your name and the date, and that it's a fragment of your Imagination Challenge 2024, and we're doing tile 6 of the Mosaic. And our fragments were Yerba, Firhelix, Galaxy, and Flow. All right, we only have 2 more Mosaic tiles to do, and I will finish those up in a couple of days. And then we will put it all together in a final video and see how it all looks. Thank you for joining me today. It's been fun working on tile 6, and I hope to see you again. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I hope you join me next time. Thanks, everyone. Love you guys. Bye.